Here's how to build anything with the new GPT 5.1 model. Now, you may be thinking, this is just a point 1 model. What's the big deal? Is this just hype? How could it be that much better than GPT-5? Well, that's what I thought, but then everything changed. As of 2 weeks ago, I was working as a software engineer at AWS, where a principal engineer showed me his workflow for using GPT 5.1, and it completely blew my mind. In this video, I'm going to show you my exact up-to-date workflow for building inside Cursor AI using the new GPT 5.1. And obviously this will work for any AI editor that you use, not just Cursor. To demonstrate the power of this, we're going to build a complete, actually useful app from scratch. So let's dive in. The first step of our workflow is the task manager step, which basically means we need to do some planning ahead of time. We don't want to just jump straight into coding. We want to instead have the AI create a plan for the app we're going to build, and this is going to reduce errors dramatically. Today, we're going to be building an article generator, which sounds very simple, but hear me out. I could not find a single one that was good for YouTube tutorials. So one where you could include a link to a YouTube tutorial and then it generates an article that's really good with like snapshots or frames of the video that like correspond to what the article is actually saying. So that's what we're going to be building today. In a new Cursor project, the first step I took was to clone this Next.js starter app, and I will be including the link to this repo in the description so you can follow along. Now in the top right here, you can see by default, Cursor is in agent mode and using Composer 1. But what we want to do is switch to the new GPT 5.1. You can see this version of GPT-5 is good for planning, which is the first step that we're going to do is the task manager step, create our plan, and we're going to switch to planning mode. This is the message to send to GPT 5.1. I said I want to build a Next.js ShadCN using app. That is a simple web page where the user presented a box to put a YouTube video link of a tutorial, and we generate a special article from the video. And then I'm describing some of the steps here. Write out final article in Markdown format for the user to copy. Use Google to find which libraries you would need before writing the plan. Think step by step. So I'm going to now run this, and we're going to see what GPT 5.1 does. Now, I am actually impressed at GPT 5.1's output. You can see this is the plan it came up with, and it is very detailed, almost like what a senior engineer would output with different options in some of the sections. Now, let's compare this with a output of a plan, same prompt, but one that was generated by the Composer 1 model, which is a lot more of a faster coder model that's developed by Cursor. And you can see here, there just isn't as much detail as in the original GPT 5.1 plan here. Now that we have a good plan, we are going to start the building process. So I'm just going to click build right here. And Cursor is going to go and use the to-do list to start completing those to-dos one by one in step-by-step process. So my workflow for using Cursor, as you saw, was to first use GPT 5.1 to generate the plan. That's the task manager step in this step here. And then the next step is the coder step. I still use, though, GPT 5.1 at the beginning of the coding implementation because it's going to set the basis for what Composer 1 is going to pick up on. You can kind of think of it as like GPT 5.1 is your senior engineer that you want to do the architecture and set up for the project. And then Composer 1 is the junior engineer that goes in and like implements like fine details that are required, but are already fleshed out by the previous model. So at the start of your implementation, use GPT 5.1 for a couple of the to-dos in a plan. And then at some point you should switch over to Composer 1 just to save on tokens because the rest of the implementation should be pretty easy. So a high level takeaway is to use 5.1 for difficult tasks, whereas you use Composer 1 for tasks that are not as difficult. One other issue I had to fix was that the AI used the incorrect NPM package for YouTube transcript extraction. The one it used was outdated. So I had to do a Google search on my own and tell it this is how you do the YouTube extraction part. After going through just a couple more errors, we now have a fully working YouTube tutorial to Markdown article creator where you can see here that it has taken this YouTube video, which is a Fireship video, and it has pulled out the images, the frames from the video, and then included it in this nice article format. So I'm really happy with this. You can see even creating your first workflow step, and then it has an image of that's taken directly from the video. That's exactly what I was hoping for. And we can definitely iterate and improve on this as we go. And of course, if we switch to the Markdown tab, we can copy the Markdown, and then now we have it saved so that we can like post it anywhere we want. As documented in the original flow, you want to use Claude Sonnet or Composer 1 for when you are going through your implementation, you're seeing errors when you're testing it during vibe coding, and you want to fix those errors. You're using Sonnet or Composer 1. I was mostly using Composer 1 for this situation. I do think that if we didn't use GPT 5.1 at the beginning to make all of the plans required for this project, that it would have taken a lot more back and forth with Composer 1 to fix all the coding implementation errors. But since we did do that planning and we specified granular steps, I think that helped out a lot. My main takeaway for you, start using GPT 5.1 in your cursor planning steps, and you are going to see great results. I'll see you next time.